guys, today is day 16 of Ethony's 31 Days of Tarot Video Challenge, and today we're talking about how much emphasis you place on the textbook meanings of the cards and whether or not you read intuitively at all. So I would say that I started off very focused on what other people said the cards meant, and I would draw a card. I would immediately look at the little white book that came with the deck. I would go to one of the books that I have, or there are a couple of websites that I really enjoy. Jan from Angel Paths has really well thought out, clear descriptions of the meanings of each card. She works with the Thoth deck, but her descriptions really resonated for me, and I liked the thought that she put into her interpretations and descriptions. I also really enjoy Mark McElroy's guide to the tarot, and both of them give you affirmations to work with. That really appealed to me. That's how I started learning. And then I started getting more decks. And as you get more decks or start working with different variations on the same card, you'll notice that the images are different, even if they're based in the same system. So, for example, I started with the classic Rider-Waite-Smith, and then for Christmas one year, my sister-in-law gave me the Mystic Dreamer Tarot. Now, here's the Hanged Man from the Mystic Dreamer deck. And you can see that it's got a very serene energy to it, but an intensity. So I like that this card looks like a circus performer to a certain extent. The costume really has that circus performer vibe. I loved the ravens or crows and the spirals of the posts that are supporting the rope where the Hanged Man is suspended. I love the moon in this card, but the energy here is dramatically different than the energy in this, which is from the Tarot of the Pagan Cats. So they're two cards, and they both have that component of something reversed, somebody upside down, seeing things from a different perspective. But there's a dramatically different energy in those cards and how they present that. And I started tapping into those differences and thinking about what colors are in this card, what are some of the images that are in this card that aren't necessarily in other interpretations of this card, and what could that mean for me? What are my associations with those symbols or images or colors? How does this card make me feel? So that was a significant shift in the way that I started reading. I definitely started reading more intuitively then, and it has made a huge difference. Sometimes I will come up with a sense from a card that, even though I know a lot of the traditional meanings, I'm like, that's not what this is trying to say. In this card, in this particular reading or this particular draw, it's about this. And that's the magic of reading based on intuition. And it's really interesting and exciting when that shift happens for you, if it happens for you. Some people never want to read intuitively. They're perfectly happy just looking at the interpretations of the cards in a book. That's enough for them. I didn't want that. I think another part of it is that I'm an English major I was probably born an English major, which sounds crazy, but both my parents were teachers. My dad taught high school English, very into literature. I grew up reading a lot of myths and fairy tales and fables, and there's a very clear set of symbols and images that go along with that. And the tarot is based on a symbolic language, And when I got to college, I studied literature, so further delving into those symbols and signs and how the different things interact and influence each other. I went on to get a master's in literature. I love that interpretation of stories. And that's really what tarot is. It's an interpretation of a story in the cards that also applies to the interpretation or describes the story that's going on in our own lives as that unfolds. And I love that. I love that connection and interplay. And that is why I read intuitively.